Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to another stream. This time we're on an Airbus A320 in the LATAM colors, specifically the ones for Colombia. You can see the tail registration, Charlie Charlie Bravo Foxtrot Echo, is actually a Chilean registration. Nevertheless, it operates now for LATAM Colombia, and that's why we have that special Colombian flag livery on the tail. So we're on a flight today, or preparing for one, between Bogota and Pasto also in Colombia. So it's going to be a short domestic hop. We're obviously flying now with a time offset, as you might have noticed, because in Colombia it's about 3 a.m., but we made it 2 hours earlier, so it's 5. Nevertheless, the weather is going to be similar, so we're going to use UTC time to fly or to operate, just with the visuals from a couple of hours earlier. I can tell you already here on VATSIM at the moment, doesn't seem like there's anybody on or anybody operating out of Bogota right now, so it's just going to be us and maybe a friend will join. Let me put up some of that information up for you so you can see where we're going, how we're doing it. Good morning, Tewe Juin. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Where are you today? Somewhere nice, I expect. Or have you returned home after your good time back home? I don't know where you are. Good. It is quite pleasant. I wanted to wash my car today. Not that I'm in Dubai, but I wanted to wash my car today. And in the desert region, it is quite hot in the northern hemisphere. So yeah. Let me show you, Tay, what we're doing today. We're doing some fun stuff. It's a short one, so you can actually have a cup of coffee and stick around. We can chit chat a little bit as we go along. There it is. That should give you the routing essentially of the flight. So we'll land 4286 between Bogota and Pasto on an A320. The alternate airport is also back to Bogota, just because it's a relatively short flight. It's an airtime of 45 minutes. And weights are all good. I actually had to take a look here because the airport can be a little bit performance limited. As we had a look here with the landing dispatch calculations, and we're able to land on a wet runway with config full. So that's how we've sort of limited our weight to be able to make this flight nicely. That's a routing, and I'll show you some previews here. Cost index 15. It's not a long flight, so we're not too stressed. If anything, I'll just increase the speed. And it's about 47 minutes to Pasto, and if we were to come back to Bogota, it's another hour from there. I don't think we're going to come back. Worst case, we'll change whatever we need to make sure that we land once we get there. There's a possible extra of 2.1 tons of fuel, which we are not going to take just because how we're landing weight restricted in Pasto. For other stuff going on here in Bogota, that's the current weather, 0503. It's broken at 8,009 and 9, so it's really humid, but like a cold humidity, which I like, hey. Weather's gonna be good. Don't see anything else here. Couple of closures. Taxiway Kilo is closed between Kilo 8 and Juliet 1. Does that affect us? Yes, it does. Between Kilo 8 and Juliet 1. So let's see where that's gonna lie. So that's gonna be the airport here in Bogota. This is Kuala Lumpur. Oopsie. Alright, let's go to Bogota. I don't know why we have Kuala Lumpur up. That was from yesterday's stream. So yeah, this is Bogota now. So we parked down here at the National International Air Terminal number 1. And the closure that we had seen is on Kilo between Kilo 8 and Juliet 1. Kilo between Kilo 8 and Juliet 1. So this bit here is closed. We don't end up there. Bravo 3 is closed, which is over there. A little exit into the Army apron. Doesn't really bother us. Kilo 1 between threshold of 14 right. Excluding the intersection. I don't know what that means. Kilo 1 between threshold 14 right Yankee and Kilo. What? 14 right Kilo between 14 right Yankee and Kilo. Okay, so something here is closed. Okay, assorted closures. Quite a lot of them. There's some obstacles in and around the area. Some approach procedures are unserviceable for 14 left, and 14 right's been reduced to Cat 1. 14 right, 32 left is closed until... Oh wow, it's closed from between 5 to 10, so which would be... We'd be at closure time now, so 14 right closed. So we're going to use 14 left for departure. Excellent, so that sorts out all the closures that we're not going to be concerned about. So yeah, we're going to go 14 left for departure. Let me put that up on the knee board. Departure itself, we're expecting to do... The departure is the Camis 6 Alpha departure towards Camis. What does that look like? Camis for 14 left. Ah, there we go. The Camis 6 Alpha departure. So that's going to take us out to towards Bogota. It's an overfly waypoint here. Vorko at 9,100 with a max speed of 185. We'll turn back to the Soacha VOR above 12,000 and then Camis out between 16 and 12. So we'll set that up. We'll get the procedural text for that. We'll talk about it later. And I'll also prepare for us the ILS approach for a return. Should it be required? It won't be. If there's a failure, I will cancel the failure. I'm not in the mood for failures. What's fun about flying around in Colombia is probably going to be the terrain. So there's a little bit here as we get out of the valley here in Bogota. And then it's the rest of the valley. I don't know what this valley is called, but that's something. Range of mountains. This is the valley around Cali, and then the arrival airport nestled in the mountains as well in Pasto. So a couple of approaches that might be available, but we'll talk about that as we get closer to the destination. So it's not very high. We're not climbing too high, I don't think. Our top of climb will be at flight level 240. So it's a nice short peep peep. It's a turboprop kind of flight for us today. That's the information that I was telling you guys about. The flight path, top of climb, and the weights as we had discussed. We're doing 47 minutes of flying. And I was looking around at some of the closures. This is the SID that we intend to fly today. And let me get that kneeboard out. So I got to remove a lot of the kneeboard stuff from my previous flight into Kuala Lumpur. We're going to get rid of those. And yep, that's essentially the plan. We'll go through the whole arrival brief further on, departure brief further on, and we'll discuss all of that. So we'll get started into the flight deck. You go. First things first, I got to make sure my controls are working. Excellent, that bit is. How about these? They are working. Great to know. Flap lever is working as well. Instantly I can say it says no RMP AR. We're going to ignore that. We're going to ignore that sticker. The maintenance guys have told me that it is in fact working, so we don't really have to worry about that. It says delayed. We're not, obviously, because of me having brought the time forward by about an hour, 2 hours, so we can fly in the daylight. Nobody wants to fly at night. Let's jump it. Date's correct. DFM56-5B4. And I'm just going to request the initialization. Flight number, it's LAN 4286. Cost index is 15. And we're cruising at level 240. At flight level 240. I'm going to give you a top of climb OAT. Top of climb OAT at 240 is -16. And right now on the ground it's 9 degrees Celsius. I don't know why it says -2. That sounds a bit cold. And let me just make sure my weather information is actually correct. Because -2 in the summer in Colombia sounds incorrect. Yep, 9 degrees Celsius. Wind. Let's just request those winds. Nice. So here's the flight plan. Camis, Lotoa, Gir, Whiskey 86, and then into SKPS. So I'm gonna set up the departure first. It's gonna be runway 14 left, 14 right is closed. Departing 14 left on the Camis 6 departure. and we can insert that into the flight plan. No discontinuities. We'll set up the arrival as we get closer. Secondary flight plan, we're going to copy the active. That's it. And then what I'm going to do from secondary flight plan is we'll set that up for a quick return back to Bogota from the SOA VOR. It's going to be the ILS approach 14 left Zulu via nothing, just the way it is. Oop. Yep, SOA VOR, and then somehow we'll get to the ILS. It's set up and ready. Weights we'll need to put in shortly, but we'll need to go to the McDo to do. We'll need to go into the FB to do that. The mass imbalance. These are the planned weights. We're gonna load the aircraft with the planned weights instantly. Dismiss. And the doors are closing because they've said, "Oh, you're gonna get started soon." Very nice. Run through the overhead very quick. Get on some pumps. Everything that's not lit needs to be addressed. That's external power at the moment. Let's get the APU running. Strobe lights off. The reason we're going off instead of auto is because on the online VATSIM network, there tends to be issues with how the strobe lights present themselves even when they're off. Constraints for both of us. It's nice to see the constraints at all times. And then we'll come down here and we'll make sure that the frequencies are tuned 122.8. We'll listen to both of these. 1215 there, and it's on standby at the moment. Good, that pre-flight is mostly done. What we can do next is, based on the mass imbalance, we can load the aircraft. Zero fuel weight is 58.759. 58.759 slash, what is the takeoff, sorry, zero fuel weight, mean aerodynamical code, what do you call it? CG 32.3. That goes in there. Block fuel, we'll need to verify that, of course. It says 6 tons. 6 tons, and based on the flight plan, we were supposed to have 6 tons. So that works out for us. Go ahead and set 6 tons here as well. So if fuel planning starts doing its own thing, we can go ahead and fix a couple things. Minimum destination fuel on board, for example, and all of that. So the alternate, it says 3 tons for the alternate, which is incorrect. We said we want 2.5 for the alternate. Can't seem to modify it.
Bogota traffic, Avianca 441 stand 19er, pushing back, facing west, Bogota traffic.
There's someone pushing back. Minimum destination fuel on board is 4 tons. Based on our flight plan, that needs to be 3.5, 3.6. So we'll go ahead and set 3.6 there for minimum destination fuel on board. We'll check that later. And it seems to be going okay. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and put the departure airport, sorry, Bogota 14 left, so we know how far away we are. The overhead, the APU should be ready. It is ready. We'll disconnect the ground power, make sure APU bleed is on for breathing. And then I'll bring you guys back onto the charts here so we can discuss the plan of action for the departure. So since we're here in the AGC, we can look, we're parked somewhere about here. We'll push on Foxtrot, taxi down Foxtrot onto November or Papa or Mike, doesn't really matter. Either way, we'll end up on Alpha for a full-length departure out of runway 14 left. We're not going to take shorter routings, just because if you look here, Bogota is at about 8,400 feet, so it's quite high up. There's some challenges with that. Over to VPT. For a takeoff performance today, we will, let me just sort that out. El Dorado, we're going to depart runway 14 left. Winds, full length, And we're done there. The winds are 050 at 3 knots. There's no gusts, 9 degrees, 1028. It's a dry runway, no anti-ice. Takeoff gross weight. I am gonna take a quick look at the EFB to make sure we have that. It's gonna be 64.7, let's say about 100, 64.8, about 100 to taxi. So it's gonna be 64.7, our takeoff gross weight. CG, oh, I need to get that as well. CG for takeoff 30.6. Air conditioning's on optimum, and let's compute. Let's see how the calculation's going to come out. Nice, we have some performance there, and they've also given us an engine failure procedure. So we discussed the taxi out. The next bit is the actual departure. Straight on to Verco. Max 185, go to Soacha, and then from Soacha to Camis. All the restrictions as discussed. Max 185, if I look here, I think my clean speed is going to be somewhere close to that, maybe a little bit higher, so we'll have to keep the flaps in for the first turn. See how that works for us. And then to Soacha above 230, and 10,000 feet is actually going to be 18,000 here in Colombia, in Bogota. The engine out procedure straight ahead to Verco, which is the LNAV essentially, 15-degree bank angle to SOA VOR, and then we'll turn to Alpha Bravo Lima. We have a maximum speed of 190 on the first turn, so we'll try to keep V2 if we can. Alright, with all that discussed, I'm going to go ahead and tune some of those VORs. So we require the SOA VOR and the, I believe it was Alpha Delta Lima, Alpha Bravo Lima VOR. Tuned and ready for the engine out. I'll go into performance and I'll make sure that performance comes in here. Full length for runway 1 full lift. Config 1 plus F. Speeds, we're going to flex to 36 degrees. Oops, we don't need the F. 36 degrees. Flaps and temperature. Flaps and THS. So flaps 1, THS is going to be... Actually doesn't tell me. But we'll let the THS figure itself out. Speeds. 50, 50, 50. Oh, nice. All of them are 150. 150. 150. 150. Clean speed's 215. So you see we have to keep the flaps in a little bit. So thrust reduction can happen pretty quickly. That's not a problem. So we said Bogota was at, excuse me, the airport's an elevation of 8,358. So thrust reduction can happen at 9158. So let's make it 9158, and the acceleration can happen at 11,358 after the turn. And that rounds it up for us. From the performance calculator, the engine out acceleration should be at 1535 above ground, which is 9893. So now we're set. Performance is done. Briefing's completed. I guess we can ask for push and start. The FCU is not complete, so I need to set the initial climb altitude, which for us today can be 12,000 at minimum at Ochoa. $12,000 for the initial climb set.
Traffic, Avianca 441 taxiing to holding point Alpha 2, runway 14 left, Bogota.
We have some messages from the company, we're going to clear those. Accept the fly, accept that. Obviously you'd look through this, but I know what I put in the airplane. Unless flight sims decide to trick me and put new things in, but that's a whole nother can of worms. .6 is going to be the CG. Alright, so pumps, beacon lights on. This is good, this is good. Pilot. And we are, or should be, okay for departure. What was my stand number again? Stand 73. Eldorado traffic. Oopsie, that's my call sign. Eldorado traffic. Land 4286, push and start from stand 72. Eldorado traffic. Oops, I forgot to remove the chocks. GPU can go off. Preconditioned air can go off. Chocks and cones off. Parking brakes, parking brakes, parking brakes. Released. Okay, sequence 1 then 2. Starting 1. Just make sure that that's on auto now. Oh. Okay, that's a quick push. Parking brake set. Well, we have one good engine start, so we'll confirm that, and we'll send this guy on his way. And we'll start number 2 engine. Both engines available. Ignition to normal. Auto brakes max. Speed brakes armed. Now I need to do one more thing. 30.6 gives me what? How many units of trim is required? distance at 30.6, which is about 0.3 down. Down 0.3. Done. They're gone. Flight controls are going to be checked now. It's right, left, down, up, all the way left, and all the way right. Excellent. We are ready. Bogota traffic land. Oh my god. Bogota traffic land 4286 taxiing to runway 14 left. Bogota. Parking brakes released. And let's go. I'll just make a quick change here. I think it might be wiser to have the Bogota VOR available than Alpha Bravo Lima, just because the SID is based on it. And if anything, we'll change to Alpha Bravo Lima because Sierra Oscar Alpha is our first waypoint anyway. Good show. Let's go. Let's get started. Get my PDL on. Gosh, these glasses are messy. So today we're standing by for a couple of interesting things we're waiting to do. Also expecting the release of SynapticsSim's Airbus A320, which is something I've never ever really thought about. Well, when the sim first came out, yes, we thought about it because these guys have been talking about the A320 for a long time. It's quite exciting to see that it's almost ready. Should be out by today. Whoopsie. Well, I guess we forgot the main part about the taxi. Got to set the takeoff flaps. Flaps 1. So it's going to be exciting to see those that come out today. So depending on what time it's out today, we could consider doing another shorter flight, and you can watch me mess up the A320 in real time. Don't know anything about it. Don't know if it's got detents like a regular Airbus, if it's going to be like more like a Boeing sort of situation with the throttle. I know it's got a side stick, I know it's got graphical flight planning, so it's really exciting stuff there for the aircraft, which in turn is exciting stuff for me, and we'll see what we can do. So we'll crank a left and a right here. Oh, are we not allowed to turn right here? Because I don't see any lead-in lines, but it seems a ways to go all the way to the other end. So we're gonna cheat a little bit, pretend like there is a line. Oh my days. What I'm looking at now is just to see who's around me. I need to find a way to remember my call sign. It's a terrible call sign. So the only one around is Avianca 441, and I'm land 4286. 4286. Good. On the pedestal, PWS on auto, and my colleague can take the weather radar because I'm a little bit more interested in terrain today. I'll check on the cabin. I don't think they need all this time. Also take a look at the takeoff config. Takeoff config normal. Turning on to Alpha taxiway. So engine out procedure to Vorco first, thereafter to Sierra Oscar Alpha, and then Alpha Bravo Lima. Max speed of 190 on the initial turn, but we'll do V2, which is 150. We'll try to...
Silverado traffic, Avianca 441 taking off runway 14 left, climbing flat 240. Bogota, correction, Eldorado traffic.
And that's the plan. Like, we're gonna keep it nice and slow for the engine out, and once we are at Sierra Oscar Alpha on the way to Alpha Bravo Lima, we'll speed up, we'll clean up, and then we'll head out. Not too much of, I mean, because of the elevation here, we can expect really shitty climb performance on an engine out. So it's quite vital that we keep our nav track on point. So, I mean, that's partly why we're doing just 15-degree angle of bank, so we don't lose too much lift. And then we're keeping our speed slow so we can focus the rest of the energy essentially on the climb out. Once we line up, you'll see that there's like a wall of mountains ahead of us in Bogota, and that's the main challenge out of here. We're quite light, so we don't really need to worry about a lot of the stuff that others might have to, just because we don't have to worry about a lot of the stuff that other more heavier traffic would have to worry about, which is one of the reasons why some of the European airlines would send Airbus 340s here, because when you do your performance calculations and you plan or you consider the engine failure, with a failure of one of these engines on our 320, we'd lose about 50% of thrust, followed by the drag that engine's going to cost. So realistically, we only have maybe about 35% of our remaining thrust to actually counter to climb and get out of the valley. Whereas if you're in a 4-engine aircraft, when you consider the loss of a single engine, you still have the other three. 75%, yes, but then with the drag, maybe 60. So you have a decent amount of thrust still left to get you out. So, yeah, nerd moment. Excellent. We have, let me show you here. Takeoff, no blue. I'll get rid of selecting the flight controls. Everything is under control here. Flaps are set, terrain, weather radar, and we are good to go. I'll advise. Eldorado, oh God, what's my call sign again? Eldorado traffic, land 4286, lining up runway 14 left, Eldorado. 4286, I need to write that down somewhere. It's funny because I'm the one who selected the call sign, and I don't know why I selected this. It's a terrible call sign.
Dorado traffic, Avianca 441 passing 11,000 feet, tracking direct Sierra Oscar Alpha, climbing travel 240, Eldorado.
Eldorado traffic, land 4286, departing runway 14 left. Eldorado traffic. Alright, so the lights are on, and we just need to now go ahead and set the TCAS to Tara, and we are set. As soon as we get to level 240, I'm gonna go make myself another coffee, and then we're gonna start our takeoff. I mean, our descent preparation. So let's go 50%, N1 to stabilize. I'll start the timer. These engines can run for takeoff thrust up to 10 minutes. 50 and a little bit more. Manflex 36 degrees. SRS runway auto thrust blue. That's the caution. Don't worry, that's just a... There we go. It's just a little thing with my thrust levers where they kind of slide out of position. Oh my god. Relax, dude. So I kind of need to physically hold the right thrust lever a little bit ahead, so it needs to be recalibrated. And I keep forgetting to do it until I'm on the takeoff roll. V1, rotate. Pause rate, Garrow. So that's a wall of mountains that I was telling you guys about. You can see it's gone red there on the terrain display. Obviously we're familiar with it, we're aware that it exists. So if we were to get a caution terrain, we're aware of what the terrain is, and we can just, I wouldn't say disregard it, but we can maneuver accordingly without having to perform the terrain escape maneuver. Here we are at Vorco, which is about 16 miles from the Bogota VOR, 16.3. We need to overfly Virgo. Max speed of 185. And then we'll turn right to the Sierra Oscar Alpha VOR. Okay, approaching 12,000 happens quite quickly. Let's go select something higher. Now she wants us to climb, so she's proceeding from the reduced climb thrust and accelerating up to clean speeds. In the mornings here in Bogota, there's often fog. Today we're lucky there isn't. It just kind of sits on the top of these hills here. And in the afternoons you have to deal with storms on the approach. So it can be a bit of a tricky place to arrive at. We don't feature Bogota a lot on the channel, just it lacks quite a lot of air traffic control, or even when they do come online, it tends to be at odd times of the night for us in Asia and Europe, so that's the primary reason why we're not here often. Fantastic, flaps are going up, there's straight lines from now on, autopilot's engaged. And as you can see on the FCU, we've set level 240, which is our final level. Nevertheless, here on the PFD, it stops at 16,000 because it's a constraint to the VOR further down from us, and it respects that. Furthermore, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and select 230 knots as maximum, just because it's above 10,000 and it would automatically speed up to econ speed, but we're going to do it, we're going to call it 10,000 until above aerodrome level. So in fact, what I would do now is I'd ask for a high-speed climb. Make sure above 5,000 feet above the airfield, which is H358, let's say 84 plus 5,000. So once we're above 13.4, we can actually request high speed. And we are. Let's assume that they have given us high speed after Sierra Oscar Alpha. And in that case, I'll just go ahead and on the FCU, I'll close the speed window, and you will see that the aircraft starts to accelerate. Super. While we're flat and level here, I'm gonna pick up some information from our destination airport, which is Sierra Kilo Papa Sierra. Hasn't loaded for some reason. There we go. Sierra Kilo Papa Sierra, Pasto, Antonio Nariño Airport in Colombia. Currently the winds are from the south at 3 knots. Broken at 8,900 feet and 70 degrees 1021. The airport itself is about 6,000 feet elevation, so the broken at 8.9 is lowish, but not really something to be concerned about. So I'm just going to select arrivals, make sure we have everything set up on the charts, make myself a cup of coffee, and then we'll come back and discuss the arrival. Okay, unrestricted climb. You know what? I like cloud surfing. Let's see what it looks like from the outside. Nice. I get the impression I need to have some gold lighting in here. Nice. So now I'll blend in a little bit more with the sunrise. Just climbing. "20 minutes since push, about 10, close to 10 since we've departed Bogota." Transition altitude. We'll pull the levers for standard. Just set. Oh, we're through 10,000 feet. Seatbelts can go off. We're going to turn off the navs that we had. Sorry, we're going to delete the nav aids that we had physically selected. We'll let the aircraft auto-tune as it goes along. So the SOA and Bogota VORs cleared. It's 1,000 level. Alright, speed, all stall. Should be alt cruise. I think I've set that up as cruise altitude. No, 250 is cruise altitude. No, that's not right. Is that what the flight plan says? 240 is the cruise altitude. Yeah, we're westbound. I'm gonna go ahead and change that here. It's definitely pilot error of some kind. Flight level 240. Set. Can clear that. I'm more interested in how long it takes us to get to SKPS. 200 miles. No announcements, please. Oh. Fine. Great. We don't actually have a long time for descent. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave you guys in cinematics. Enjoy the views of the 320. I'm gonna make myself another cup of coffee, and I'll be back shortly. Alright folks, thanks for the short break. And we interrupt your regular programming to bring you back for the arrival now into Pasto. Cup of coffee refilled, we're about halfway through the flight. And I'll show you what we got planned for us. Ooh, look at that mountain there. We're going straight for it as well. Actually, that mountain's an ETP, it looks like. ETP in about 30 miles. Mountain in about 30 miles. So, let's see. Let's try get the views on before we set up. So, there's another traffic flying to Sierra Kilo Papa Sierra, and we've had a chat on what runway they're going to fly into. They're flying runway 20 Sierra Kilo Papa Sierra. 02, sorry. As you can see, that's kind of what Sierra Kilo Papa Sierra, the airport in Pasto, is known for. Currently 18083, and it's varying between 130 and 230, 17 degrees, 1021. So, what makes it interesting, if you look here at the AFC for Sierra Kilo Papa Sierra, is this. So you're really in a sort of a cul-de-sac of valley, and there's mountains all around you. Look at that, 13,900 feet. And the elevation of the airport's at about 6,000 feet, so it's decent prominence as well. There's an ILS for 20, which is great, but is historically popular for its RMP approach into 02. So I think that's the one we're going to end up doing anyway, just because it's fun. This is all it has for the AOI pages. So that being said, the RMP approach is an RMP AR, so we're going to ignore that little note that says RMP AR not approved. So this is the RMP approach into 02. We'll start at Mercaderes, I was calling that Mercedes, Papa Sierra 409, and then it's a nice tight RMP 0.2 turn. Dual GNSS and IRS, RF required. So, and it's a 3.2 degree glide path. There's quite a few interesting things. The ILS itself works nicely, except the missed approach point is about 3 miles before the runway. So if you were to go around somewhere within these 3 miles, you're essentially on your own trying to get your way out of the mountain. Couple that with an engine failure, you really have a bad day. Whereas the RMP 02 gives you a little bit more protection, really brings you all the way down to the threshold, but then you're quite close to the terrain here. So there's a few difficulties with that. But that's the one that I intend to fly today. And after we land, it's quite simple. We need to make a little bit of spacing with the traffic ahead. So we need to land 02 and exit, which is tight. Most likely, because it's a downhill profile as well, as you see, they're probably going to go all the way and then come back. If I look here at Navigraph charts, IFR high, we can see where that traffic is. Or I thought we could see where that traffic is. Well, they're not too far, so we'll need to maybe slow down a little bit and create some spacing, just for us to be on the happy. Oh no, I closed my planner. Just for us to be on the happier side of things. Risky to type P onto the browser while you're on stream, huh? Okay, anyway. I'll sort all that out while you can look at us going into the mountain. Or you know what, actually need to sort it out now. Enter destination data. I shall. The arrival is going to be the RNP02, which is here as RNAP02. The Paquet 1 Alpha via MER. Let's take a look at the tempo flight plan, make sure everything's there. Everything is there. And I've just got a bleep, so someone's messaging. Let's see who it is. It is touch risky. It's not amazingly risky, but yeah. And destination data. That's what she needed. We'll do. Let me get some weather. So at Pasto, it's currently 180 at 3, 17 degrees. 180 at 3, 17 degrees. The QNH is 1021. I'll do that landing performance shortly. And the last thing we want to do is a full flaps landing. Would be my bet. Would be the best thing to do, I think. And that's going to be, excuse me, RMP 0.2 is 6,300 for the barometer. Excellent. Now we'll watch this mountain go by. I wonder what it's called. I've never seen it. So, big mountain. It's called Novatio del Hula. Okay, let me see what Novatio del Hula is all about. Oh, Novación del Hula. Oh. Nevado del Hula. Oh my god, my eyes are shit. Nevado del Huila, volcano in Colombia. 5,300 is the highest volcano in Colombia. It is visible from Cali. Nice. Oh, it's gone. Where are you, Novatio? Ignacio. Hula. That is close. That's at 17,000, so we're only about 5,000 feet above that. That is insane. If that were to erupt now, goodbye LATAM. Well, this flight at least. That's awesome. Really cool. Alright, we're over it. We're coming down into the valley. This is where Cali is going to be, somewhere around there. And that leads me into a nice segue where we talk about the actual approach. Alright, so we're planning for 02, and let's see if we can actually do 02. So we're going to go ahead for landing performance. We are interested in the in-flight landing performance for the arrival into into Antonio Rodríguez. Going to be a runway 2 arrival. Oh cool, so this gives you a bulk landing procedure. So bulk landing is a landing in which you have passed the minimums, not minimum, sorry, the missed approach point, and technically you have no more guidance from there. So it's now up to you to do what you need to do. It's quite cool that it gives you a bulk landing procedure. NTI is off most likely. And we are going to do a couple of other things. Go around gradients is 2.5 here. The actual go around gradient is 2.8, which is what we need. V-pilot, we're not adding any additional knots. Landing technical. It's a manual with auto throttle on. And reverses, yes, we're going to use reverses. Brake modes, let's say low, and we'll see how that looks. Actually, yeah, let's see what it looks like with low. And she's probably going to need our landing weight, which we will find out for you just now. Oopsie. So we are landing with 3.7 tons of fuel on board. That's about 600 less than our current weight, which is here. 600 less than that is going to be 62.5. So expecting to land with 62.5 tons. So based on everything it's got now, let's see what the calculations are. Okay, 3,048 meters seems a bit much to use. So we're now gonna go ahead and try auto brakes medium. While that's getting ready, I'm just going to take a look at the transition level. Transition altitude is 1000. I'm going to guess transition level 115 is actually quite okay. Excellent. With medium auto brakes, we can make it towards the end of the runway, so we'll need to space it out with the guys ahead of us. And now for me to set up for my planning for the arrival and a quick arrival brief of sorts. And minimums are set, that's good. Good, so the arrival into Pasto. Arrival starts at Pacex 1 Alpha arrival. We'll start above level 120 and then we'll go to Mercaderes, also above level 120 with a max speed of 230. This is restricted to category Bravo Charlie aircraft, and we require RNAV 1 for this segment, and GNSS is required as well. This falls within the Cali control airspace. If Cali was online, they would be taking care of us here. From there, from Mercaderes, I'm just going to call it Mercedes. From Mercedes, there's a hold available, so we're going to assess where the traffic ahead of us is. If they are already past the arc, we would... Well, I'd continue the approach, yeah? I mean, I just want to verify that they land first or have a decency to land initially. Or if they have decided to... Not decency, sorry. If they have got the... I want to assess if they can land or not, you know? If they land, of course, fantastic, because that gives them enough time to then do a backtrack. If they've opted to go around, if I start the arrival while they are at Papa Sierra 411, that gives me enough time to kind of cross them on the missed approach. So you see there, they should be limited to 7,500, whereas at that point I need to be above 10,000. So it should be, if everyone sticks to their procedures, will be quite nice. So Mercaderes between 140 and 120, that's the same as the Star, except the Star had 12,000 only. Max 230, and then we're going to Papa Sierra 409. From Papa Sierra 409, 410, 8,800 with a max speed of 180. And that becomes RMP 0.2 from there on. And then Papa Sierra 411, 8,800 max 150. So I'd already start being configured. At this point, I'm probably going to be fully configured. It's a 2-mile arc, the radius, to Papa Sierra 412, and then finally overflying the runway 02 at 50 feet. Runway is about 2,100 long, 45 wide. Simple approach lighting, just the edge lighting is back, nothing even on the approach side. Puppy's only on the left, 2.8 glide path. Sorry, go around, which we have discussed already. The glide path itself is a bit steep. I think it said somewhere it was 3.2. But I can't... Oh yeah, 3.2 degree glide path, so slightly steeper. We'll use auto brakes full for that. Sorry, I will use flaps full for that to keep us nice and slow through the arc. Missed approach takes us to Papa Sierra 414, above 7,000, max 180, so we'll likely have the flaps on. And then at 7,500 here. So that's the first altitude we're going to set up. Once we're past it, we're going to continue to climb all the way up to 2,000 feet, and that'll become RMP1 again on the way out. If we lose RMP capability anywhere around here, we'll do a left turn out through the valley and resume our missed approach procedure going to Pacex. And holdings at Pacex and Mer not authorized to be simultaneously at the same altitude or at or above level 160. That's fine. Seems like we're just the two of us going into Pasto at the moment. On landing, 02, medium auto brakes, all the way to the end. Let the auto brakes bring me all the way down to like 20 knots or something, and then I'll turn there, come back down via Alpha and Bravo or Charlie somewhere into the apron there at Pasto, and job done. If it doesn't work out, one more approach, maybe we'll do the ILS next time, and then we'll just bugger off to Bogota, because clearly things aren't working out. Definitely a pilot skill issue if it doesn't work out. Super. All that chatting done, and how much longer for our drop? 11:48. And on my pedestal now is 11:42, so 6 minutes to drop. I'll just make sure that the McDo has all the information it needs. At the moment, this is okay. Predictive GPS. So we need to turn off some form of monitoring. So position monitor. We're no longer going to use GPS monitoring. So select navigates. So we need to deselect radio navigation for the approach. We're going to use only the GNSS. And the reason that we do that is because of the way VORs work. So VORs work based on line of sight, yeah? Which is great at sea level, except now if you got a VOR at 5,000 feet, and if you're passing below the mountains, the VOR might be like above you on a mountain somewhere. So that gives you feeds you incorrect information. So we're going to base ourselves solely on the GPS and the IRS. So radio navigation is deselected. And we will need to then monitor IRS position. That's all on nav, which is fine. GPS monitor. GPS seems to be doing okay. And what else can I do? GPS primary, this is what it's estimated accuracy, and we need to make sure this goes to 0.2 as we get closer. In fact, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and set 1.0 now, and we'll be able to see the accuracy as she goes along the approach. I can see there's a small mistake here with the flight plan. It has us going to Varor, back, and then to Mer. So we're going to commence that descent now to 12,000 feet with open descent. In the meantime, I'm going to see where this other traffic is. Pasto traffic, land 4286, flying direct to Mike Echo Romeo VOR to hold. Pasto traffic. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. Direct to the Mike Echo Romeo VOR, because this has us going to PACX and back. It's not very pretty. So direct to Mike Echo Romeo. And then we'll hold there at Mike Echo Romeo. The scheduled hold at Mike Echo Romeo, sorry, the prescribed hold is 213 inbound with right turns. One and a half. Perfect. The next thing we'd have to be worried about or consider is the false GPWS enunciations as we're doing the RMPAR, because we're going to get quite close and we're going to get close to mountains. So just a good headspace, make sure you know what we're doing, and we'd also maybe turn off the GPWS terrain mode. Actually, I'm not a huge fan of doing that. I think we just need to assess as it is so that we have the terrain display, and then we can see if it's terrain that we'd already talked about or not. Speed brakes are out. Going into the mountains. Unfortunately, there are no replays available on the fenix A320. The system works, the aircraft systems work outside of the VATSIM 2024 framework, and they're very difficult to recreate. So even if we did watch a replay, there'd be no landing gear and she'd be screaming at me the whole way. So we're going to ignore the landing, the replay. So stick around for the actual landing, and I'll make sure that our stream information and our landing rate will be shown. It will be shown. Expect a hard landing. Auto brakes, medium. And at this point, I'm happy to start reducing the speed of the aircraft. Let's bring her all the way to 210 knots. 210 knots. For details here on the approach phase, clean speed is 211 actually, yeah, so 211 is probably a better speed to fly. Pasto traffic land 4286 is joining the hold at Mercaderes, descending to level 120. Pasto traffic. Close, but still okay with the speed brakes out. And one last check of the weather at Pasto again. So the latest weather is 1803, visibility greater than 9 kilometers, broken at 89. And for our approach, that satisfies the requirements. Can't hear me on frequency. Hello. Okay. This seems to be something that's happening to me a lot these days. Okay, so I've heard from the other traffic that they almost hit the threshold on the other end. To me, that seems like an immediate exit is okay. An immediate exit from the hold. Well, it's a bit too late, so she started the hold. I don't mind. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull the FCU. Pull her on a heading. And once we are sort of heading towards the north, I'll send her back to the Mercaderes VOR to commence the approach. Descent rate's okay, we'll go ahead and do 1000 foot per minute descent. And direct to mirror. So what I did there is actually not permitted. RNAV02 via Mare. So okay, all the directs are still there, and we start the arrival from Mare, but I can't modify any waypoints after Mare unless it's full speed, because then it messes with the RF properties of set hold or set approach. Let's try again. Well, I'm being told that my audio doesn't work, so I'll just write it. Alt. So on the FCU, if I have this correctly thought out, I can go ahead and set all the way down to minimums, and she should fly it correctly. Excellent. So she will go down to 6,300. The first stop is the altitude constraint at Mare, and I wonder if she'll do a nice steady descent or if it's going to be dips and drops. Let us see. Need to make sure the ILS is not tuned, obviously, and from the Mercader is VOR 1163. 1163, no ILS tuned. Excellent. Ooh, is that the airfield? No. That's just a plantation. Things are going well, so I'm gonna go ahead and manage the speed. And she's speeding up back to 230 knots. Transition level. Altimeter is 1021. Alright, here we go into the mountains. So at Papa Sierra 409 above 10,000, max speed 230. I'm gonna go ahead and put RP 0.2. Which is the accuracy required. I don't see a way to monitor that here. Yeah, I don't see a way to monitor that. So I'd probably have to look at position monitor then. Data, position monitor. Actually, I have no way, I don't actually know how to look. Maybe just this way, required and estimated, 0.03. So it's very accurate at the moment. So if we were doing the ILS approach, we'd come in this way over this hill, and the airport should be, oh there it is, you can see a bit of the runway there. That's the airport. Pasto traffic, land 4286 at Papa Sierra 409er for the RMP approach, runway 02. Pasto traffic. Probably still can't hear us, but it is what it is. 10,000 feet. I'll take this moment to also slow her down. And I'll go ahead and activate approach phase. Radio nav is deselected. Yep, that's the intention. Alt constraint. Ooh. I think there's a missed approach. Yep. Looks like a missed approach. Please don't give me a TCAS. $2,000 below me. Whew, okay. Not great day for them. First notch of flaps coming in. What's the maximum gear extend speed? VLE extends 250 knots. So we're below the the extending speed. So let's go ahead and get the gear down. Oops. There's the landing gear. I need to be here at speed 180, which I am. Flaps 3. So there's a level segment here at 8,800 feet that lets me manage the speed now. And flaps full. We have our final landing configuration.
2,500.
I'll go ahead and turn on all the lights for the landing. And I'll announce the landing over text because something's wrong here. Okay, the landing is announced.
Pasto traffic, Avianca 441, tracking direct Mike Echo Romeo for another RMP approach from reserve 2. Pasto.
I gotta say, this is quite exciting. In fact, the weather seems to be quite pleasant for a visual approach. Here we go, right over some mountains, pretty close to them in fact. Treetops are clearly visible. Cabin ready, lights armed. Sorry, spoilers on, flaps full, so it's landing no blue. Max speed is 150, we're here at final approach speed. At the moment it's a cross headwind that's going to turn into a tailwind as we go through. You notice that it said TA only very quickly, it's because of the radio altimeter as we go over the peaks.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Alright, this is the terrain warning that we discussed. Because it thinks that we're going to go into that.
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
We're going to disregard that.
Terrain
Obviously we can
ahead.
turn it off,
Pull
but I
up.
wanted it on just for awareness in
Terrain
some other
ahead.
position.
Pull up. Terrain
Ooh, look at
ahead.
that speed go
Pull
around.
up.
Come on, come on,
Terrain
come on, fix
ahead.
it.
Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Yeah, so the
Terrain ahead.
hills
Pull
essentially
up.
cause a little bit of mechanical turbulence, which is what we saw there with the speed misbehaving. We just got to make sure it doesn't go above 150 knots. And not
Terrain
too low that
ahead.
it becomes an
Pull
issue
up.
as well.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
This is really close. Oh my
Terrain
days.
ahead. Pull
This is
up.
terrifying, I'm not gonna lie.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Terrifying.
Terrain
You know
ahead.
what?
Pull up.
I know we can't see a
Terrain
replay,
ahead. Pull up.
but let me just try at least. You know.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Absolutely
Terrain
terrifying.
ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
I'm getting the impression that
Terrain
the
ahead. Pull up.
QNH may be incorrect.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Alright, I think I've had
Terrain
enough.
ahead. Pull up.
As we
Terrain
turn this
ahead.
corner, that
Pull
terrain
up.
alert should start to disappear. There we go. There is the runway, currently 3 whites. Sorry, all whites, it was there just now. And you'll see the radio altimeter drop, so we're about 600 feet above, and as we go over this gorge here, it's gonna drop. Whee! Come on, speed, 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 speed. Ooh. Alright, we're gonna wait for the RMP AR to finish this leg. Once it's done, it's gonna be visual. Another thing you have to consider is the GPWS. It's not gonna do you a nice 150-40, because as you see, it's a plain cliff face over there. So it's gonna be exciting for sure. And missed approach altitude needs to be set 7,500. This is going to be manual flight from here. 7,500 set. 2 white, 2 red. 3 white, 1 red. Oh my days, this is actually quite terrifying.
100 above.
Oh my days, it's terrifying.
Minimum.
Continue. It feels weird to drop the nose because I feel like I'm gonna fly into the cliff face.
300. 100. 40.
Too low.
30.
Terrain.
20. Retard.
Touchdown. Terrifying. Full reverse. Oh my god. Terrifying. 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 Wow. I do not want to go here, ever. Not even as a passenger. I'd rather take a car. It's through 60 knots. Let me get the speed. The control. Auto brakes. Off. The runway is 45 meters wide. I should be able to make a nice turn here. Whoa, that was terrifying. I'll do a 180 right here so we can make space for the guy behind us. Okay. No, I came to a stop on a 180. So it was about 56 minutes of flight. That was hair-raising. Not that I have much left, but yeah. Ooh, terrifying. Alright. Speed brakes. They can go down. Thanks, Tommy. Woo! Terrifying. Speed brakes up. Sorry, flaps are going up. Let's go ahead and start the APU ASAP, and we'll get out of the way for this guy coming in now. I'm not interested in seeing terrain anymore. So obviously the colleague was on weather radar, but the terrain pops up whenever there's a terrain warning. And the reason we got a warning as opposed to a caution is because it estimated we were about 20 seconds or less from crashing into the terrain. I'm gonna hustle. This guy is on the downwind at 3,000 feet, and we'll take the exit. And we can watch their landing. Let's see how they do. Hopefully not another approach, not another missed approach. I think they were commenting here on the stream. Let's see what he had to say. High and fast for the approach. Ooh, terrifying. Right, we'll exit on Alpha. Yeah, so sometimes the key with these approaches is just patience. You know, you need to slow down, get it configured, and just watch as it happens. And then you'll still notice, like, towards the end, everything just kind of piles up in one go. So we're clear off the runway. There's people walking around. I don't know which stand we're going to go to yet, so I'll just see what's available, and then... Oh, great, we've come to a full stop. A little bit of an uphill here. That's our parking position. They're waiting for us now. My lord. So there's quite a bit of an uphill, so now I'm kind of stuck. More power. There we go. Now we're moving. Taxi lights off. Stand 1 at Pasto. This is the slowest parking I've ever done. Alright, there's no marshaller here, so I'm just kind of gonna figure out roughly where I need to stop based on the outside view. Marshal myself in. Few more feet, come on. And there we are. Final parking position. APU is available, it's running. Parking brake set. And we'll shut down the engines. Engines off. APU bleed can go on. Beacon lights off, seatbelts off. And everything is now under control. TCAS on standby. Tell you what, let's go see this guy's landing. They're quite close, so let's go quick if we can. Or maybe there's a tower view that's available that would let us. Yeah, that's a tower view, so we can see where this gentleman is now landing. There they are on final. And in the meantime, I'll let GSX deboard the aircraft. Alright, let's see. Here we go. Seems like we're dropping in. Seems like we're zigzagging left and right. Okay, so that's a downdraft actually getting in the way. And oh my god, I'm sorry. It keeps snapping back to my airplane. We're interested in this one. Alright. Alright, we got it. Whee! Oh. Nice. We've made it into Pasto. Excellent. Very nice. Those brakes are cooked for sure. Well, I can tell you that was terrifying. I look forward to doing it again in like 5 or 6 years, so I remember how terrifying it was. I've done this on Flight Simulator X, which obviously didn't have the same kind of terrain and stuff going for it. So to actually do it now on Flight Sim 2024, terrifying. Glad it's over with, glad it's done. We'll let the Avianca park next to us, somewhere next to us, and we'll say goodbye. Unfortunately, there's no there's going to be no replay available, no good replay at least, because this aircraft works outside the sim and it's kind of inserted inside, so we won't be able to watch. Let's find a nice view for you to watch these airplanes and the deboarding. Until the Avianca parks, of course. Thanks very much for joining me, and yeah, hope you had enjoyed that stream, enjoyed that approach. It was terrifying. Alright, arrivederci, and we'll catch you again possibly in the evening for the Synaptic A320's release and my first crash on an A320. Thanks.
You don't talk much, but I hear it still. You bring it come easy like now. Destiny deal, so hold me close. I feel I'm deep. the funnies. This one deep for sure. Then on it, come close. You bring that light to me. Oh, I've been on my own, now you giving clarity. So loud, you don't talk much, but I hear it still. You they make them easy like now. Destiny deal. So loud, hold me close. I dey feel I'm deep, even